This video is optimized for the outer cover display of the Galaxy Z Fold 2, and also when watching on the inner display, make sure you're in horizontal orientation with the screen folded for the best viewing experience. So the Z Fold 2 has been with me for a month now as of this recording as my main device, and let me tell you, I've had an overall interesting time with it, and there's a lot I want to share when it comes to my experience with this folding screen beast of a phone hybrid tablet device. Yep, this is my full review and experience with the Z Fold 2. Let's go. Hi, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. Let's as always start from the outside and work our way in with the design and the build quality of the Z Fold 2. And let me tell you, this device does not feel like a prototype or an unfinished device. Look, let me repeat that again so you can hear it. This device does not feel like a prototype or an unfinished device. If you thought the overall build and the design of the Note 20 Ultra was kin, then this feels like an engineering masterpiece for real. The biggest thing that still impresses me is the hinge and how it's able to hold at different angles without feeling weak, loose, or flimsy. It fundamentally changes how I use the Fold 2, from how the camera works to watching videos and even app navigation. Although I never got to use the first Fold, I've had hands-on with it briefly, and the flex hinge here definitely feels like a major improvement. I'm using a Mr. Bronze with the matte finish and the satin finish with the more boxy and flat design, and it definitely follows the new refined improvement design style from the Note 20 Ultra. And like I said, man, if it ain't matte, I don't want it. Now when closed, the nice damp sound is solid and still satisfying. When closed, it feels thick, and the weight, although overall adds to, the feel of it feeling well built, well premium. It's something that you definitely notice all the time, and it can be fatiguing, give or take. So yeah, that's something that you just gotta bear in mind when you're using it. But from the cold brushed metal frame, the slight curves with the mixed boxy design, having two proper dual speakers, a more forgiving camera bump, a fast fingerprint power button scanner there, and finally the bigger and more usable 6.2-inch edge-to-edge cover display really makes it feel close to almost like how a normal smartphone feels. Again, almost. Now that's because that tall 25:9 aspect ratio cover display really does make the phone feel narrow, and although using normal apps on it feels more than good enough, when it comes to certain apps like, for example, Instagram, it generally struggles when it comes to fitting things like stories, pictures and videos in the Stories app when you're using it. Typing on this cover display definitely feels manageable, a lot more manageable, and I can definitely say it's a lot more manageable than the first generation Fold. That cover display was really small, but when you do get into the pace of typing, it can definitely feel cramped. So I definitely wish in terms of the width, it was wider to make typing a lot easier. So that sense, when you're using it, you're getting to the pace of typing, it forces you to naturally just want to open up into the bigger inner display. Now we're on it, let's talk about the massive 7.6-inch display with the 5:4 aspect ratio, much more squared off display design. Now I have legit used this inner display equally or more than the outer cover display, because man, when you open it, you can't help feel but drawn to this massive edge-to-edge display, no doubt. It's bright, it's sharp, and definitely having a 120Hz display makes the experience of using it really, really good. But it definitely does feel softer to the touch than the normal glass that you'll find on most displays. That was my main concern, but I did find it, it feels more than solid enough where I didn't feel worried when typing or just using it as a normal phone. Also, the crease in the middle isn't something I felt on a regular basis, because the position of the apps on the screen and also where my thumbs are based on the screen with scrolling and swiping never hit the center of the display, but depending on the background and the angle, you can see it, and it's definitely something that is there, but it didn't worry me like I was expecting it to. But honestly, I can't help but feel impressed with the use of this ultra thin glass, UTG glass, and I really hope the development just keeps getting better and better as the new generations of these folding screen devices come along. Now when it comes to the performance-wise, the Fold 2 definitely is a beast and doesn't skip a beat. This is definitely the multitasking king, and the inner hardware definitely makes it possible to do what it does, and even better, it doesn't feel like it's gonna slow down anytime soon when you're using it. Now, when it comes to the battery, wow. I really don't know how the battery life is so good on this Fold 2, knowing very well that it's driving two displays, and also with how hard I'm pushing on a daily basis, especially using that inner display, plus coming from that Note 20 Ultra, having the same capacity, this is definitely impressive, and I'll probably have to admit, you know, this might just be the best battery life I've had on any type of phone mobile device. Now, even saying that, there is a slight downside in my opinion to the battery experience, which for me is the charging speed. Now, I know it sounds a bit strange. It comes with a 25-watt charger, and I'm not saying it's slow, but it basically takes close to an hour and 30 minutes to recharge. And for me, with these more expensive devices and how far fast charging has come, anything beyond an hour to fully recharge starts to feel slow to me. So definitely, I wish the charging speeds were a lot faster here. Now, when it comes to the camera, my favorite part still hasn't changed. It's still how the camera UI works with the flex mode, which allows you to see different pictures that you've taken instantly, and also enabling things like the cover display as a mirror viewfinder for the person that you're taking a picture of to actually see themselves is the best part. And also, one of the best parts is enabling the selfie with the main camera using the cover display as the viewfinder. Honestly, that just feels like the Swiss Army knife of a flexible camera experience. And performance wise, it's mainly like a mix of mainly the S20 hardware with some of the S10 hardware like the zoom camera. So expect the standard stuff from Samsung with the vibrant but actually not too saturated colors like what they've been able to do. Good detail, solid video performance when it comes to things like shooting 4K 60 frames a second on the main and the selfie camera with stabilization, but also all the weird shortcomings like not being able to shoot 4K 60 frames a second on the ultra wide angle camera, the zoom sensor, and the very weird over processing when it comes to things like night photos, with sometimes you can see some magenta pink color shifting from time to time. Now look, in praising the camera and saying that it's a good camera system, this is definitely not the best camera system Samsung have on tap. And that's reserved for the S20 Ultra as well as the Note 20 Ultra. And as much as I want the best camera on the Fold 2, and heck, for the price of it, you should really be getting the best from Samsung, I'm kind of more okay with this because obviously with the Fold 2, this means that it doesn't have to have a massive camera bump at the back. It's much smaller because already the footprint of the device is massive. So yeah, I'm kind of okay with it when it comes to the thickness of it already and having a much smaller camera bump with what they've chosen here. Now, when it comes to the software, at the front and center is One UI 2.5 with Android 10. Yes, Samsung have promised 3 years of Android version updates, but when Android 11 is coming and how that will behave with One UI 3 with this more tablet form factor is yet to be seen for now. But I'll speak on my experience on what the current state is with this device when it comes to the software. Overall, software, surprisingly, is the best part of the Fold 2. Now, things like having the ability and the combination of creating your favorite apps in 3 and 2 pairs, launching things very quickly from there, resizing them, and changing the location of the apps on the screen. This actually makes me spend less time on the device because I'm able to use all my main apps in one go at the same time, and it still doesn't feel and it still doesn't get old to me. And no doubt, it's probably my favorite part of using a Fold with the software. When apps support the cover display to the inner display continuation, man, this feels like a dream. And moving from that transition from the smaller outer display to the inner display, oh man, that full screen experience just going from small to big, it's just another thing that still doesn't get old to me. And look, fun fact, it's always the thing that catches the most attention from people who have never seen the Fold 2 in action. Overall, I have to say, this part of the experience when it comes to the software is where it's fundamentally shifted how I use a smartphone, and why this hardware, this device has really taken my enjoyment of using smartphones to a whole new level. Now, it doesn't matter if this is my favorite device or not, no device is perfect, and trust me, using this Fold 2, I have some small to major frustrations, some big and some small shortcomings that can low-key feel like a deal breaker, especially when you're looking at this massive $1,799 price staring right at you in your face. Firstly, there is no 512GB option, and yes, 256 is more than enough, but the first Fold had 512, the Note 20 Ultra has a 512GB option. Why isn't there a 512GB option for this Fold 2? This is not the part where cost saving is something that I would have wanted, knowing that this is going to be a very long-term device. Next one, 12GB of RAM is a lot, but when you have 16GB of RAM on the S20 Ultra, I definitely want the same thing here, especially when this is such a multitasking beast. I do not want at any time in the future or the current, especially with newer, more resource-hungry versions of Android and One UI that are going to be coming in the future, for RAM to ever be a limiting factor. And like I said previously, there's no 45-watt fast charging or higher, and although the camera performance for me is more than enough, you can't help but feel like if you're paying this much, I should be getting the absolute best from Samsung. And even though this part is, it's more forgiven, You can't help but feel that way. This next part, I'm going in. Honestly, single SIM support, this one is a big no-no for me. How is it with all the flagship Samsung devices that are out, this Fold 2 is the only one to have one SIM slot? And please, do not hit me with this eSIM support, because I've said it before, not all networks and carriers support eSIM. So I don't give no passing excuses to Samsung here. This is a big oversight, and at this price point, like for me personally, this can low-key feel like a deal breaker. Not having multiple SIMs, especially when you have multiple SIMs to be able to put in here, that really frustrated me. I was so surprised by it. And also, this one is a small one. The lack of 120 Hz on the cover display is not too much of a big deal, but that's the hope in the 3rd generation and the 4th generation will definitely have some form of high refresh on the cover display. And also, as well as that, making the aspect ratio and the width of the cover display wider to make the typing experience a lot better as well. Last and not the least, this one here, let me tell you, this is the frustration of being an early bird when it comes to the overall software experience. Now, yes, I've praised the software experience enough, but here's where the difference is. There is a difference in learning how to use a new device, especially a tablet folding screen hybrid like the Fold 2, versus when apps and things are not working like you expect them to, especially when you think you figured out how to use the device. Let me give you an example. I'm glad Godox is available here to help force apps to use the correct aspect ratio on the inner display especially, and also to be able to force apps that don't support cover display to inner display continuation. But you shouldn't need Godox. I know it sounds controversial, but you shouldn't need Godox to have to use it to get that level of experience. And the bad thing is, from what I know, Godox is not available in all regions, so tough luck if you can't use it on your Fold where you are, because apps like Instagram look bad. And with it, even with Godox, resizing of videos with photos in stories and when you're posting it, it's just all over the place. And you know the worst one? The worst one is this 720p and community tab bug with the YouTube app. And this one, it just really grinds my gears. And I seriously don't know whether the issue is because I start watching a video on the cover displays, so it limits me to 720p, or even if I open it into the inner display, it still caps me at 720p. But when it does that, I've got access to the community tab. I can use the community tab, right? And then sometimes I have to go as far as actually shutting off the Fold 2, restarting it, turning it off to see the 1440p option on YouTube to come up, which is obviously what I want. The display's 1440p, it's crisp. Then what happens? I can't use the community tab because it says it's not supported and it's an error. And honestly, I know there's probably more things to discover as time goes on, because I'm going to do much more long-term coverage, but this mislink between the apps and the software is just one area that Samsung and Google really got to get it together to make sure that these hybrid folding screen tablet devices can really work properly. Because if I class myself as a power user and I'm struggling, come on, normal people that are meant to adapt to this are going to struggle even more, and it's going to be a big off-put. Okay, let me wrap this in conclusions. I can't praise the Fold enough, but the shortcomings like these definitely are part of the reason why most people should not and still not consider buying this device, even though this is the best folding device on the market. And the improvement versus the first Fold is so massive that if you end up being part of the brave buyers that would actually not mind jumping on this, trust me, you're going to love it to the core. With even all the shortcomings, this is still my favorite device ever. Oh, I love this Fold 2, honestly. So yeah, that is my review experience with the Galaxy Z Fold 2. Let me know in the comment section below. Have you got the Z Fold 2? Have you even considered getting the Z Fold 2? Or do you think it's a bit too rich for your blood, or is still not really ready for prime time just yet? Let's have that discussion in the comment section below. That's it for me, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. I hope you're all safe during this time. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.